How to end a toxic friendship. Today, me, Dan, Guillermo, Seth, and Robert are going to be talking to you guys about how to end a toxic friendship. A quote by Unknown. Remove yourself from those one-sided friendships where you're the only one putting in the effort to keep it together. Remove yourself from those one-sided friendships where you're the only one putting in the effort to keep it together. How toxic friendships can affect our mental and emotional health. You can be influenced by toxic friends to act in ways that are inconsistent with your morals and bring out your worst qualities. Although everyone has imperfections, toxic friends encourage you to magnify these bad traits, endangering those people or yourself. As students, we recognize the significance of maintaining positive relationships in our lives. We have seen firsthand the negative effect of toxic friendships on people's general well-being throughout our academic careers. Through our own personal experiences and research on the topic, we have gained a deep understanding of the detrimental effects of toxic friendships and the importance of ending them. As a result, we are confident in our ability to provide valuable insights and advice on how to successfully navigate and ultimately end a toxic friendship. In order to prioritize one's own development and well-being, it is imperative to recognize toxic friendships and break them off. Recognizing and dealing with toxic friendships in our lives is crucial for college students. Our mental, emotional, and even physical health may suffer as a result of these relationships. It is critical that we comprehend the dangers of toxic friendships and take precaution to keep ourselves safe. Negative self-image. You will probably feel worse about yourself if you have a toxic friend who is always criticizing you. This online article discusses the negative impact toxic friendships have on you. The more time you spend with negative friends, the more likely your sense of self will feel compromised. You may feel worse about yourself before, during, or even after these toxic friendships. Increasing stress levels. Spending time with a toxic friend who is always gossiping and always wants to take the blame can be extremely taxing and overwhelming. This online article by the Charlie Health editorial team explores the stress caused by bad friendships. The constant stress and anxiety associated with toxic relationships activates our body's stress response system. Your health may suffer from these kinds of relationships. According to the University of California, Los Angeles study, living with a toxic friend negatively impacts an individual's health by elevating stress protein levels that cause inflammation in the body. These types of friendships can cause health issues that lead to emotional distress, like anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. In the article, it is mentioned that spending time with these friends will lead to feeling worse about yourself. Toxic friends can take different forms, but they generally drain you mentally and have a way of bringing you down instead of building you up.
Now that we've covered how toxic friendships can affect one's emotional, mental, and physical health, we're going to talk about recognizing signs that you may be in a toxic friendship and just recognizing signs of how to identify a toxic friendship. Toxic relationships in general can be some of the most difficult to get out of solely on the fact that they are difficult to recognize. Many of those who fall victim to a toxic friend don't even realize they're in a friendship with someone that is toxic. Here are signs that you may be in one. A study conducted in 2023 on the analysis of toxic friendships and interpersonal communication with teenagers found through interviews with informants who experience unhealthy relationships that toxic individuals in the friendship could be the closest people to the actual victim. Other signs included bullying in some of the form of physical, verbal, or even sexual violence. Another study conducted in 2020 during the pandemic called Supportive Friends versus Toxic Friends, and the aspects of a friendship promoting and hindering youth mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic. It talks about certain characteristics adolescents have on positive friendships compared to toxic relationships, describing healthy friendships as social support, communication, quality time, openness, emotional bonds, empathy, guidance, and advice. And toxic friendships were described as lack of social support, ineffective communication, emotional and physical distance, and of course, conflicts. Understanding the characteristics of friendships compared to toxic relationships is very important to prevent more emotional and even physical violence within these relationships. Healthline had an article in 2020 discussing signs and effects of these toxic friendships. They described a segment as bad days versus bad vibes, where they gave an example of a good friend having a bad day may snap at you or seem distant, but should still apologize in the end, compared to that of a toxic friend will have these patterns that don't seem to change. They won't show how much regret or inclination to change, even when they realize they made you feel bad. Array Behavioral Care had an article that describes a true friend to have qualities such as being accepting, honest, dependable, respectful, non-judgmental, thoughtful, and forgiving. These are signs that you want to be sure you're getting from your friendships. On the other hand, toxic relationships can do more than just harm, and staying aware of traits of toxic friendships will help keep many people safe.
Now that we've discussed how toxic friendship can affect our mental and emotional health, and recognizing the signs of a toxic friendship, now let's discuss how difficult it is to end a toxic friendship. After someone realizes they're in a toxic relationship, they will still often put it off out of fear of what might happen. A way to lessen that anxiety is to take steps to prepare for the impending event. Write down what you plan on saying. Get an idea for how you want to start the conversation and the main points you're trying to get across. Also, simply writing down how you feel, no matter how coherent it is, helps you manage your emotions. Talk to others about what you're going to do. It's good to get a second opinion on how you want to go about this conversation, as well as getting validation for your feelings. Next, try to give them a chance to fix their problems. Talk to them about how their actions make you feel in a calm manner, but still be direct. Gauge how they take this information, if they make any changes at all. Now, once you feel ready to proceed, it's time to act. It's very important to be clear and establish boundaries. However, remember this is a conversation, so be receptive of your friend's response. First, be clear and concise. Make sure they know why exactly you're leaving. It's good to express that you've brought these problems up in the past and they have shown no significant changes. And if they try to ask for more chances, it's very important that you keep a firm stance on your ideas and principles. Next, be assertive. When you can communicate your ideas clearly, we feel a lot more at peace in the conversation. And remember, don't repress your need to walk away. However, it's also equally as important to remember being assertive just isn't being loud. You need to put yourself in their shoes, be respectful, and understand that they might not agree to distance themselves from you. Remember to respect their opinion. Remember, do not force others to think like you do.
So now that we discussed how toxic friendships can affect our mental and emotional health, recognizing the science of toxic friendships and how terminating such a relationship can be a profound effects on one's emotional, psychological, and even physical well-being. Understanding and navigating these after effects is essential for healing and moving forward in a positive direction. The first thing to note in this is that the self-knowledge of some extent involves clarification of one's thoughts and values, and the claim that this is best achieved through a form of communication of those thoughts to another. In other words, friends gain a privileged perspective through the reciprocal disclosure of intimate information that marks out deep friendship. Although this could perhaps be achieved through a form of self-commentary, the feedback from a committed friend enables us to consider those thoughts and values in valuable ways. To achieve feedback, to give and gain privileged perspectives might then be presumed to require a form of self-disclosure. So, the after effects of ending a friendship is through estrangement and betrayal. So, right now I'm going to be talking about that. So, what is significant about all this? Well, certainly for a source that was authored by Kennett, is that friendship requires an openness to being directed by our deepest friends. In other words, we are willing to change and be changed by each other in significant ways. This does not mean, as Helm points out, that we are then ceding our autonomy or becoming passive recipients of another's authority over us. We can still choose to select or reject such direction. It is commonly agreed that friendships are often regarded as terminated. If one member of the partnership or relationship wishes to withdraw from the relationship, it might be thought that we apply it to friendship. We are then approaching the end point of the relationship and that the shared commitment to an open future has broken down. Nevertheless, this may not always prove to be the case. Friendship dissolution, as Boker points out, does not have to be complete. It can sometimes result in a downgrade whereby the best friendship over time evolves to a less close, less intimate relationship. We all had experiences of being close friends with someone and then to drift apart over time, whether by one moving away, time limiting contact in some way, or by quarrel. Many of us, on being reunited, are able to reignite the friendship sometimes as it once was, or more often than not, with an element of suspicion and temporary withholding of the original ties as attempts are made to repair the breach. Now, estrangement can often be evidenced by physical absence for periods of time, whether short-term, long-term, or permanent, with no contact or no real desire to keep contact going from both parties. More commonly, there will be also a psychological absence where the friendship itself had broken down and the support and emotional closeness previously experienced are no longer available. They literally become strangers to each other. What is particularly of interest about estrangement is that possibility of a future is not necessarily abandoned, it is also open to repair. If this is the case, then it blurs the precise moment at which a relationship may be to have been terminated, and suggests that some way may be awakened or maybe become dormant when time has passed. In that case, they may lack active maintenance. Now, for betrayal by a friend not only holds possibility of destroying the friendship itself, but in addition, it destroys a particular representation of ourselves that is created through the friendship. We now have a good reason to doubt the validity of the feedback given to us by others. The discovery that we were wrong about the basis or even the existence of a friendship can be very painful in the short term for adults as well as children. There can also be a long-term damage and doubt as to our own ability to judge and ascertain the true character and genuineness of others, which can impact our future relationships. We may become more likely to question motives for our friendships. We may become less likely to trust in our possible future friendships. We may become less likely to self-disclose in a new relationship. Whatever the doubt, everyone's got their own reasons, and everybody with time can either move on or repair the friendship.
In order to prioritize one's own development and well-being, it is imperative to recognize toxic friendships and break them off. Ending a toxic friendship is crucial for personal well-being and growth. Students must recognize the signs of toxic friendships, have the courage to end it, and prioritize their own well-being. Students can make their own environment healthier, happier, by surrounding themselves with relationships that are encouraging and supportive. A quote by Alex L. Surround yourself with people